Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. My name is Tom Ollerton. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, and this is a weekly show where brands watch other brands' ads and discuss what's good and bad about them. This week's ad was chosen by Contagious, our partner, so please go to contagious.com after the show and check out their brilliant work. But before we get to this week's ad, let's meet this week's guests.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lisiane Ndong. I'm Senior Client Success Manager at Searchmetrics.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adam Cowlishaw, Head of Marketing and Connected Commerce for the Vision Care business at Johnson&Johnson in Singapore.
Hi, everyone. I'm Justin Carbonella, Director of Human Insights at Coca-Cola North America.
And I'm Jerry. I lead media across the Europe, Middle East and Africa region for GSK Consumer Healthcare.
What an absolute dynamite panel from 3 continents. Let's see this week's ads.
C'est une proposition qui divise les automobilistes parisiens.
Tout cela divise. Est-ce un progrès? Est-ce au contraire un recul?
I am the bad boy tenor in this land. Got the Panama flag and Italian. There are no other singer that you can test. Eco band, eco band, eco band. Oh, it's the bad boy tenor. Oh, tenor, bad boy tenor. No other singer that you can. No other singer that you can test. Eco band, eco band, eco band. Oh, it's the bad boy tenor. The baddest sound boy ever.
Right, Jerry, we haven't had you on the show in a while. What was it? What did you make of that?
Yeah, obviously a new law coming to France where in Paris the speed limit is now 30 kilometers an hour, and a clever kind of reactive stunt on the back of that to sort of see whether some runners could thus break the speed limit. So I liked it creatively. I thought it was a good reactive thing. I was slightly cynically confused as to how they got the pictures. Like, were they actually from the speed camera? Because, you know, does the government send you those pictures? I'm not sure if you haven't got a number plate. But anyway, but creatively it was nice. I liked that they took the images, the idea, and put it into sort of outdoor ads and stuff. So lots of things I loved, but slightly cynical that it was a glossy case study for the industry, first and foremost.
Yeah, so I really liked the ad, but at the beginning I was confused because I didn't try to understand the brand. And so at the beginning I didn't know what it was about. So I had to watch it a second time. As I'm French and I knew the law, I know that a lot of people were talking about the law. And I like where they use the culture, the French culture, maybe rebel. When something happened, people need to say something. I think that culturally when you try to challenge the government and new law. So I really like the fact that they used that. And similar to you, Jerry, where I was wondering where could we really flash human being, and also the picture. How could I get the picture? Because I know in France they don't send you the pictures when you have any kind of interaction. So that was interesting, where everything was about how to be against the law and how to be against the government new rules. So I really like it.
I love the music, love the visuals, but being on the other side of the pond, if you will, and not really knowing the store and not knowing French, I sort of had to do a little bit of research to get to what was happening in it. And there were parts where, at least with my first viewing, with lack of information, I was like, is this a Nike ad? What is this? What's happening? Because there's actually a lot of really close-ups of the Nike swoosh too during it. So requires lots of, or at least a few other views of the ad to get it, which could be a good or a bad thing in terms of creating a viral video.
I think it's a really great piece of advertising, and definitely entertaining. And I think, the best advertising is entertaining, right? So yeah, I think it was pretty good.
It feels like we're sort of trying to judge it as a big global activation. And yeah, as soon as you see the Nike logo, you're like, oh, this must be a Nike thing. But actually, it could have come to life really nicely locally. And it sounds like it was a really good local insight that, from a sort of maybe not a big global success, but perhaps it looked really great on the street. Yeah.
So Adam, Justin, you seem a bit down on this creative in a way. What would have made it better?
I think it is actually a successful creative. I think the idea is very clear. It's almost indulgent and just for the sake of doing something that represents the brand and it has local relevance, then I think perfect. If that's the objective, great. If, however, it's to create fame for the brand and drive people into the store, which I guess is like what we're all probably more familiar with here, then I can't see a lot of evidence that it's sustained that effect. So I guess it depends how you want to judge it, really.
It's almost unfair to treat this like it is going to be a big brand ad, or is it just something to get a little bit of buzz around your one shop? And I think if that's the case, then they did a fantastic job. I thought it was a Nike ad at parts of that, and if they did this all themselves to the way you described it, that seems like a big win.
So, Jerry, is there an opportunity to turn this into something bigger?
But yeah, it's definitely like a repeatable idea. I have seen vaguely similar things in the past, especially just cycling. I've seen like cycling challenges about trying to break speed limits and things like that. I guess as the speed limits become lower, it suddenly becomes possible to do it on foot. Obviously, the relevance of it is tied to the law change, and that being the catalyst, why it makes perfect sense. But I think the idea of, speed cameras and can you break the speed limit, could be borrowed with pride by other places and copied.
What can your brands and your clients learn from this?
You could overbrand it to the point where any point that you're trying to make becomes almost null and void, or makes your brand look like you're just trying too hard to do something. And I think that Distance did a really good job of bookending the ad with their brand and logo, so you sort of knew what you were watching, and then did a good job of weaving it in between through different parts.
I think actually one thing that probably really kind of reinforced their credentials in their industry is the fact that they had really strong KOL inputs. So I don't know the runners personally, but clearly, if you're in that world and you follow these people and that has a certain level of cachet, then actually, yes, what they're really demonstrating is we're truly serious about what we do. We're pretty cool. And this is kind of our brand personality. And this is how we behave as a brand. And we actually attract that kind of caliber of like elite athlete. And I think that actually is quite smart. And I think that's very difficult to get in this sort of age of, dare I say, cheap KOL.
So for me, what I see, what that did clearly is really the trend where you sell an experience. So I think they did it very well. They focus on a niche, which are runners, and they sold an experience instead of focusing on the brand. Because I don't personally know the brand, but they didn't focus on them. They sold the experience, they sold their brand value and ethos, and by using at the same time some influencer, because for my reading, there are two runners that are kind of influencer within the industry. I think they did it very well, like really experimental and selling experience. I think for me, that could be something that I will push to clients, say, you can make it simple, not high budget, but sell an experience and the authenticity of your brand.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I dread to think what the agency would have charged you lot for that, but I reckon that cost about... Probably did get that done for $1,000 and a couple of favors, couldn't you? Really, it's incredibly effective from a cash perspective. But how can one shoe shop afford a agency? Is this the agency who've come up with the idea? Nike have refused to buy it. Adidas have refused to buy it. Well, someone's going to have to buy it, and their mate works at a shoe shop. Do you want this? Because there is no way they could afford.
They have a website as well, so I don't know if they have a bigger footprint maybe outside of that store amongst the running community or something. Or I don't know, maybe it's a friendly thing. I don't know.
Before corporate, I've worked in startups and known people who will pull favors and things like that. So you get quite a good agency name on the project, but actually you're paying next to nothing for it. So I sort of smelt that actually, and I think, yeah, that might be the case.
So we're going to, on a count of 3, I'm going to ask you to vote for how good you think this ad is on your fingers. So 1, 2, 3. That's a 4, a 4, a 4, and a 3.5.
3.5. Yeah.
3 and a knuckle. Well, congratulations, Justin, on being our first half person. That was genius. Thank you so much, guys. We will see you all next week.